Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. What are we reviewing this time? Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars was developed and published by Sabotage Studios. It is a retro-style RPG, turn-based combat, and kind of inspired by games like Chrono Trigger, Breath of Fire, Illusion of Gaia, things like that. It features side quests, elemental weaknesses, pretty much everything you can think of a classic RPG, especially Chrono Trigger. Reminds me a lot of Chrono Trigger. And I believe the person who did the music for this game also originally did the music for Chrono Trigger back in the day. So he did the music for this game. Sure. I don't know. I'm going to butcher his name. So anyway, you can look it up. But that guy did the music, and he originally did the music for the original Chrono Trigger back in the day on the Super Nintendo. The game came out on Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S on August 29th of 2023. Again, it's a role-playing game, single player, retro style RPG. So we'll go around and see what everybody thought of Sea of Stars. Pat, let's start with you, buddy. What did you think of Sea of Stars?
It's great. That's it. I'm just kidding. It's really great throwback to classic RPGs, right? I mean, it's turn-based-esque, and that kind of will lead me into like my one and only real gripe about this game is the active turn-based combat. And what I mean by that is instead of it just being straight turn-based, when I want to make an attack, I have to time my regular attack right when I'm touching the monster so I can get double the damage, so they die quicker. And also, when they're attacking, I have to be on my controller ready to tap every time their weapon hits me. And that's kind of annoying. I prefer a little bit more of a turn-based combat where I just get to pick my abilities, my spell, my attack, sit back and let them do their thing. I know they tried to add a little bit of flair to it, but that's the only thing that I really have negative about this game. Outside of that, it's awesome. To me, it's a great game. It's a perfect RPG. Adds a lot of cool elements, lets you control quite a few characters. I believe it's up to 6 in this one. And it just reminds me of those old school RPGs, especially in the JRPG genre, like Star Ocean and all that stuff. But it's got cool dungeons. You get new abilities by completing dungeons. So what more could you ask for in an RPG, especially like a retro style? I was thinking, okay, this is going to be another Octopath or whatever, but it sets itself apart. I think it looks pretty. It's fun to play. It's pretty cool scenery. The only thing I don't like is the backtracking that you do because you get new abilities and got to come back. I hate games that do that, but it is what it is to make you kind of extend the playtime a little bit. But overall, an amazing game. And the only thing I would trade for is give me a button to turn off that extra damage reduction and damage increase. Instead, just roll in a typical crit system and call it good. But that's just me. What do you think, Shane? What are your initial thoughts on this game?
My very first thought when this booger loaded up and the first action portion started was, this is gorgeous. And it really is. Normally, I'm not near what Pat is when it comes to graphics snobbery. Because this is a 8-bit or I guess 16-bit really more appearance graphically, but it's so beautifully done, so colorful and bright, and the darks of dungeon stuff and evil characters and are done so well. It's just a beautiful game. That was my very first thought. And I'm going to agree with Pat. My only true complaint is the active portion of the combat. Just as an example, there's an attack you can do. It's the very first, special you get. So I don't think it's really a leak or, spoiler, but you have a boomerang attack. You throw the boomerang, you hit your enemy, you tap your button again, you can reflect the boomerang back and keep it going. And it just gets faster and faster and faster. The training portion of it works fine. And the real combat portion of it is nowhere near forgiving. And it once you get the timing down, it's beautiful. It's a great attack. And you have others that you use certain action commands like that. But it's really hard to get down. I think they could have done something a little bit different just because that gameplay style doesn't really work for me that much into this type of game. But overall, it's a really minor gripe because everything else works so well. It just really does. I can go back and play certain games, especially RPGs, over and over. I think this would be one I could because it's a great looking game. The script seems just fluid and everything. I have yet to beat it because I jumped into our next game review and I've kind of deterred myself from finishing it. But this game is solid. Solid gameplay overall, minus my little gripe about the action part of the combat. Characters are fantastic. The story, there's a lot of reading, a lot of bubbles. You will read through a lot of bubbles, especially at the very beginning. But it's worth it. Once you get through the first hour, it's not near as prominent, maybe 2 hours. But then it just flows. It's very classic. It's just a solid game overall. I'm happy with it. And the best part is it's on Game Pass. This would have been one if we weren't reviewing, I definitely would have checked out regardless. And, but it was on Game Pass. So bonus, works for me perfectly. So, this is definitely, out of the three of us, this is definitely going to fall into Nick's wheelhouse more than anybody. I mean, he craps 16-bit. So let's jump into Nick and find out them little cubes falling out of your butt there. What do you think of Sea of Stars? Is it an ocean?
It is an ocean. Yeah, they're falling all out. You can see the trail of cubes behind me.
Oh, the cubes.
No, I mean, if anybody's been been with us since the beginning of this channel, they'll know I'm the guy that likes retro games and retro gaming. And yeah, Sea of Stars is one that it's been on my list since it was first shown off many years ago. So I was going to play it regardless of whether or not we were going to review it or not. And we really didn't have anything else lined up. So the guys were like, well, let's just do that one. I was like, okay. That's fine. And I'm glad they enjoy it. So I really enjoy it. I think it's really good. You never know with these types of games, though, how they're going to turn out, even though I do like retro games and retro looking stylized games. Sometimes they're not always the best, right? But this one is. This one's really good story, really good animation. They even have from time to time these animated cutscenes, which are really nice too. I wish they had them more often, but they do have them, and they look really nice. Fully like animated movement and everything, like a cartoon, kind of like an anime looking style to it, that they have from time to time that are a part of the game. So they go in with like certain key moments, those show off. It'll kind of change over to that style and show that off. This is really cool. Adds more to the game and kind of the story that's going on. But yeah, I mean, the game is a ton of fun. The combat, I don't mind the hitting the button to block an attack. It's not a big problem for me. One of the nice things, if that is somewhat of a concern that, or you have, I mean, I have problems timing those. That's probably my biggest thing is timing my attacks and timing my blocks. My blocks are probably the biggest thing that I have trouble timing. My attacks I can usually get down because you're doing it a lot, right? You're using a lot of the same characters, you'll continue to get more, but you kind of learn their attacks. And so you know when to hit the button, whereas enemies are always different. So you got to have to kind of see when the enemies attack, what they're going to do, and when it's going to, kick off. Cause it's like right as soon as it kicks off. And sometimes when an enemy comes to attack you, you think it's going to happen then, but then like 2 seconds later it happens. You're like, I missed the window. because they delay it just a second. They throw you off like that. One of the nice things that this game does is it gives you relics, and it gives you quite a few relics at the beginning. And then later on you can buy more relics. The relics, apparently, from what I've read online, they do not affect your achievements, so you can flip them on and off as much as you like. And the relics do several different things. So one is for the attacks, it will always automatically do the second attack. But the negative on the flip side on that, though, is your second attack is 50% power. Another thing that might be helpful too is there's a relic that will notify you on the timing of things. So you can flip it on and it'll prompt you each time. Or kind of not really prompt you, but kind of pop up a little thing on the screen letting you know, okay, press A now to put in the extra hit, press A now to block that attack, vice versa. So if you need that assistance, you can flip those relics on. And there's other relics that do various other things, like after every battle, you get 100% HP. So everybody's HP goes back up to 100. If you wanted to flip that on to make the game a little bit easier, so, various things like that. And then there's some relics, I believe, that make the game harder if you wanted it to be harder, right? So you get a slew of those at the beginning, and then you can buy more when you go to the stores. Different stores have different ones that they sell, and you can purchase those and flip them on and off as you'd like. So that's a really cool aspect. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, this game's a lot of fun. If you like JRPGs, the graphics look really nice. The dungeons are really good. It's kind of like, in a sense, kind of Zelda-ish dungeons. I mean, you have these smaller areas that you go through, but when you get into the big dungeons, it's almost like a Zelda dungeon because it's all puzzled, and then there might be treasures that you get and that allow you to do certain things, right? And so that's a really cool aspect. Like you get something that adds on top of the gameplay, right? And then, as you go through, you learn more about the characters and kind of what's going on in this world. And what they've crafted here is a really cool world and setting and characters and everything like that. I believe the developers, Sabotage Studios, also made The Messenger. Yeah, they did. They made The Messenger, which The Messenger is kind of like Ninja Gaiden, but made by them. It's retro styles, 16-bit again, but you're a ninja and you go through. And I beat that game. That game's awesome. If you find Sea of Stars to be really cool, it's not an RPG. It's an action game, kind of like Ninja Gaiden, but it's called The Messenger. It was really good, really great game. So if you go in playing Sea of Stars, and you're like, well, I really like what Sabotage Studios has done with this. Check out The Messenger. The Messenger, I think, was on Game Pass at one point. It may not be anymore, but it's probably a super cheap game by now because it's been out for a while. But I believe Sea of Stars is only a $35 game. So even if wasn't on Game Pass and I bought it for $35, I would not be disappointed. It would be well worth the money I spent on it. It's a great game. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. The Messenger is $20 right now on Steam. So
yeah, I think The Messenger is worth it too. The Messenger was great. It was a great game as well.
No, it's just a great world they built, and I like the travel in it. You still have that, top downish platform, you just kind of walk along, but you have different highs and lows you can get to. If you look carefully, you can walk right past a cave and not even see it, or little jump areas to get from one area that you weren't even expecting. I like that about it. I was really surprised I was going to like it. I mean, it looked like it would be something I would really enjoy 20 years ago. Just brighter. But it's still, it holds up so well for the type of game that it is for a player like me. And if Pat likes it, and he's such a graphic snob, then it'd been perfect. But it made it better though, is if they'd have done voice acting with really good voice actors and I didn't have to read so damn much. That's really not a complaint I should make for this type of game, but I have become lazy in my old age. Not going to lie. I like voice acting.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, my only complaint is I look when I play turn-based combat games to kind of chill. I don't want to sit there and be like button mashing. But like I said, the relics that you mentioned, they do help. The one that reduces incoming damage, by 40%. And there are ones that have negative, like Nick said, to make it harder. So there's multiple ways to make it easier or harder, right? One of them gives your entire team an extra 100 HP of those relics, and there's all kinds of relics out there to make it easier. I don't think the game's overly difficult, but if you're not paying attention without any help or relics or anything, and some enemies hit you 3 times, and if you don't block it 3 times, you take the full brunt of damage, and it's a lot. And that's my biggest complaint. Is like, I just want to play, watch a little story, run through here and play turn-based combat like I love. Like I love old school Final Fantasy turn-based, Star Ocean, all that stuff, turn-based combat. So I was hoping a little bit that I wish there was a switch or a button to turn it off, because I don't care, introduce a crit system to fix that is my biggest thing. Unfortunately, this game is in between a rock and a hard place, right? There's a lot of games out right now that people are just like, maybe I don't got time to play this one. It is priced right, but you're right in the middle of some very, very big hitting games. You're right in the middle of Starfield. You're right in the middle of Fires of Rubicon. You're just like right smack dab in the middle of that, and it's only getting worse for the rest of this, the rest of this month and next. So if you love those JRPGs, more Western style turn-based, it's definitely a pickup. Like Nick was saying, I'm pretty sure it's only $30 on Steam, and you can even get like CD keys for like in the 20s. So I like it. And even though it's a 16-bit graphic style, the way they've done it is really cool. The way they kind of made it 3D, walking behind stuff and in front of things. It doesn't look 16-bit. It looks like a very, very well polished 32-bit game, maybe. It's just that art style where they make things a little blocky, is intentionally. So, but I love it. It's a great game, and sucks for them to be stuck in the middle of those 2 big giant games right now. And not to mention, everybody's giving them great reviews except for guess who? IGN gave them the lowest score. They gave them an 8 out of 10, where everybody else is like 90. 88. I think the lowest I seen outside of IGN was an 88 from like Game Metacritic or something like that. But I think it's well worth the game, and it's one of those smaller titles that's not going to get a whole lot of attention because of where it's at in its release schedule.
Yeah. Well, nobody really goes to IGN for game reviews anymore. They've pretty much blown that, that demographic out of the water for a lot of the garbage that they put out there. And I'm not trying to sound mean to them. I know everybody has their opinion. That's, there's 3 of us. That's why, our show, I think, works, because we are pretty different in most ways, and we have similarities in some ways. So, and we've changed as we've been doing this. Pat's loosened up his graphic whoreness a little bit, so he's not as bad. I'm still a voice snob, but I can get there. So yeah, I'd pretty well never listen to IGN's reviews anymore. I like a lot of the things they do on their channel, but reviews ain't one of them. So, but this game is good. This game is perfect for streaming to your phone. If you're in the bathroom for a while, perfect, because it has a great pace to it. It's not something you have to worry about, a lot of timing, except for certain portions of that combat you want to use. But I like the game. It's a good pooping game.
Great for that PlayStation Portal.
Oh, wow. I mean, I could pay $200 for that. No, thank you.
Yeah. On the toilet. You could do that now, but would you rather do it with the PlayStation Portal instead?
Yeah. I could
officially
use my
licensed
phone.
product.
I could use my phone and a backbone, but I'd rather blow my load and spend $200 on a split in half PS5 controller.
You got to scratch that Sony FOMO, man. You just cannot miss out on that. I mean, a bunch of people had that because it's sold out, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep. But it's all right. Nobody's going to be using their Sony subscription services much more. Apparently, they're dropping like flies on it. Suckers. But anyways, this
Yeah.
game is great. We won't turn it into what's wrong with the rest of the gaming society show, but this game is great. Definitely worth the money. Definitely worth the Game Pass. It's a perfect Game Pass game. It truly is. So I recommend it highly.
Yep. And I think on PlayStation, it's also on their PlayStation Plus. It came out the same day on PlayStation Plus if you have that subscription.
Which
Still.
one? Which PlayStation Plus?
I don't remember
PlayStation
which one.
Plus, Ultra
I think
Plus,
extra,
Donkey Gum.
but I'm not 100% sure. I think extra, which is the second tier.
That's a terrible gum.
Because I think
Loses flavor
premium,
after 5 seconds.
That's right. I think premium only gives you like the retro, the old games, and then something else, right? I think that's what premium gives you.
Was the actual game out, or did they just put the demo out? I can't remember.
No, the supposedly the actual game is supposed to be on PlayStation Plus and Game Pass.
Gotcha.
They came out day one on both
That's cool.
services. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this game is really good. Pat's right. It is kind of flopped itself right in between a rock and a hard place. You had Armored Core, and then you have Starfield, and it's sitting right in the center. And then the rest of the year, there's a lot of big games coming out. So
Can't forget the other RPG that's dominating the scene as well, Baldur's Gate 3.
yeah,
That thing's
Baldur's
still
Gate, yeah.
pounding on. So I feel bad for this developer, but I would have probably, if I was them, push out my date or something.
Yeah. I would have done an Alan Wake on this one. Push it out a bit.
They'd have had to push that sucker into 24 minimum. I mean, there's so much the rest of the year. It's rough, but this is a great game to jump in between. I'm building crap in Starfield, or I'm wrecking things in Armored Core. It really fits in as a. All right, I'm going to relax now. I've been blowing crap up all day. Now I'm just going to, enjoy this gameplay and story. I mean, it's perfect for intermission of, ass whoopings.
Yeah. In between time, if you find, but if you don't find time to play this game and you do want to play it, make sure you add it to your wish list or, play later list or whatever. So it kind of reminds you later on when you get through everything else that, hey, I still got because we will have that moment, right? We will have that moment where there are no games out and we're all sitting around going, what the hell should we play? That would be a perfect time to stick this game on and be like, I'll just play this while I wait till something else comes out. Because according online, it's like, I think up to a 30-hour playthrough. And that's without, I think that's without completionist, like doing every single, like Pat said, you can go back and there's areas that you can clearly tell that, okay, I can't access that yet. So I think it said around like 30 hours for the story. And
34 is what Googly says.
Yeah. So give or take, depending on how, quickly you go through things. But if you just take it slow and everything, I mean, that's pretty good for, in the classic RPG style. Most of those old RPGs were
like $1 an hour.
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
Pretty cheap labor right there.
That's right. All right. Well, you guys got anything else you want to say about it?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Let us know down in the comments below. Have you played Sea of Stars or The Messenger? If you have, let us know what you think of those the games down in the comments. Other than that, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Help us out. Hit that subscribe button. Helps us out by helping yourself out by hitting subscribe. And hit the bell notification to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.